Hi everyone, this is Director Marlon Green broadcasting to you live on the Director Marlon Green Show. Today is Saturday, April 1st, no, April 2nd. No, today is April 1st, 2017. And there's a lot of interesting things that's going on. I'm not into the occult, but we are in the age of discovery and we are in uh, a critical time in our planet's history of mankind and humankind as a race. And I want to set the tone of what I expect from my leaders the next hundred years, because it seems as though we're on the edge of great potential, but we have such terrible dreams and nightmares also. So let me just see what we can do to add cohesion to the equation. Building African American businesses. We need to, as African people, we are a very diverse people, as you know that. We need to connect with our ancestors' roots all over the globe, not just with Africa, but with the Caribbean or the Caribbean nations also. We colored people are not trying to take over the planet. There are already more colored people than there are white folks. We're not trying to wipe you all off the planet, and therefore we do not need you all to interfere in our population reduction uh, policies without us saying so. And we're going to go into this with uh, with a responsible tone to obtain achievable goals. And so we have some advantages that we need to look into for as African American, African Caribbean cultures. We need to set the tone for not only to be more culturally cohesive, but to be resilient against the negative forces and the capitalist greed and the people that mean no good. So they know who they are. We don't have to say their names. And this is what Africa should be concentrating on, in my opinion. Africa is still pretty much underdeveloped, and that's pretty good, because by it being so hostile, it really should be much more advanced than it is. But I'm glad it's kind of natural. Places like Jamaica and the Caribbean nations are still natural. They're not completely almost artificial like our own society is, and we have to maintenance our society. Our cities that are over 100 years old, we have to change the pipes, we have to change the electricity wires and poles. We need to try to get rid of these ugly utility poles made of wood, made of metal, that stick up into the sky to do our power. America and the rest of the world is very power hungry, but the capitalists and the global capitalists and the petroleum industry are really in a cartel, and they don't really want a lot of the other technologies to emerge, even though they can't supply all of our growing needs. What's holding the world back is really cheap means electricity. We need to change all of our plastic to a biodegradable plastic. There is a guy that makes beer, and out of the beer leftover barley, it's the six pack. It's the container. The little rings, with the six pack rings that comes with the beer that you carry the beer. Well, the guys in Florida are making the rings, the carrying rings, out of the leftover barley from making the beer. So what they do is they sell a beer, and the rings that they carry is made out of the leftover barley. It's kind of hard, but it's biodegradable. So what happens is, once you use the beer, you can actually throw the beer rack into the oceans, and fish will actually eat it. Fish and turtles eat it. I saw lots of wildlife eating these beer can racks. Now the beer can racks that they have now are made out of heavy, durable plastic, and animals swim into that, and it never goes away, and it cuts up the neck of the wildlife and cuts up the arms and the limbs, and they get eventually amputated and infected and die. And so that's a great idea. So what Africa needs to do is start protecting tribal lands, and we need to uh, instead of destroying the ivory, and a lot of the ivory is found in China, and it's not really China fault that the demand is so high for ivory, but don't burn the fucking ivory. If you're gonna take the ivory, don't burn it, and then the Africans don't get the shit either. Return all of the ivory back. The white man, I don't know what the fuck y'all be thinking about burning the ivory that was obtained illegally. Instead of you giving it back to the people, you burn it. Man, don't burn that fucking ivory. Get that shit back. And what we're going to do is we're going to start having wildlife refugees, is that we're going to rebuild with rhinos, and white rhinos, black rhinos, all the animals that ivory is precious. In the future, we're going to have larger reserves that's going to be held patrolled by international effort, instead of using all of this fucking resources on terrorism. We're not going to get caught up into the industrial complex spending all of our money on defense. And we're not going to join nations that as soon as you don't agree what they say, they're going to start a war with you. We are in the age of discovery. And if you think that you're going to spend money, keep draining your economy on spending bigger and bigger bombs and more warships and more planes, you got another thought coming, because a lot of people are winning the different wars. China is winning the economic war. Russia is winning the cultural war. And the United States is winning the stupidity war with all of this bullshit. And Republicans, I'm telling you this now, you're going to have to start opening up your ranks to minorities, because a lot of them deserve to be in position that you're in, and you have other things to do. You have family businesses, you have family heritage that you can work for, that all of your family already work for. You don't need a public job. You don't need public benefits from the government. Your family got long heritages. We need to get that bill in, that for term limits. We need to get that in as soon as possible in the United States, because the main people that stay too long are the problem. They can act like everyone else is the problem, but they're the problem, And Africans, we need to save all of our cell phones and recycle those cell phones and make communication hubs with all of the little chips that's left over. We make this big computer buildings in certain cities. After we strip the cell phones down, we make these large circuit boards with all of these little chips that we constantly making circuit boards, and we adding them over the years. Even the old technology will just be assigned to smaller tasks. And as you get bigger and more complex problems, you will assign those problems to the more advanced computers. Now, they have the concept of quantum computers. The computers previously were punch cards, and now they're ones and zeros, and now they got quantum, but I still think they have another dimension, negative and positive computers. It's just basically plus or minus. Instead of using ones or zeros, just use a plus or minus, all the time. Instead of a whole one and a zero, it'd be a plus or a minus. Or you can either add in-betweens in between there. And so we'll do that, and we'll save all of these chips from all of these cell phones, all of these video games, and we'll generate a few artificial intelligence for Africa and African Americans. We're going to have to use artificial intelligence as our security program so that we don't spend a lot of man hours trying to do security. We program a certain artificial intelligence for security. I suggest a certain artificial intelligence for space travel, something like Amy. We already have Google, we already have Apple, we already have Microsoft artificial intelligence, and they pretty much can do whatever we needed to do on Earth. It won't tell you how to build something that the technology don't exist. If you really have something powerful, you can build something that can be more powerful than itself. In other words, tell your artificial intelligence to build something that don't exist. That's when we getting somewhere. Tell it to build you electromagnetic propulsion engines. Tell it to build you the ion engines. Tell it to figure out the formula for wormholes in space travel. Tell it to how you to get to the fifth dimension. Tell it to tell you how to do telepathy and portal. Portal travel. Okay, we take the cell phones and the CPUs out the cell phone, and we just keep making these massive circuit boards, and we maintain these circuit boards to where they're very cheap to install and maintain because we're constantly getting new cell phones. We're constantly recycling all the good cell phones because a lot of people throw their cell phones away, and a lot of those parts are still good. And the United States have not pioneered or revolutionized recycling cell phone yet. They're just starting to do computers, but we got to learn how to recycle everything. When we go to Mars, we're going to have to already know how to recycle everything. We're going to have to take things like frozen organic bread, frozen sausage, things that last a long time, cheese. We could make wine on the way there, since it's going to take sometimes years to get to these planets. We can have wine fermenting the whole time. Stuff like that, When we get there to Mars or the moon, I suggest we dome the craters as quickly as possible, lay soil, plant food, pretty much with make the craters out of pretty much a greenhouse. Now the temperature drops down to 100 and minus 30 on Mars. So what we'll do is we'll inhabit a crater first, and then we'll clean a crater out, and we'll make a dome over that. And then every crater that we grab, we'll make the crater out of something. We'll put a top over it, use the debris to build a dirt-like dome, and then over the years we put the glass over it and remove the dirt-like dome from underneath it, and just leave the dome city. It's not going to be totally transparent like they have in the movies yet. You might see the little lines in it to where we holding the plated plastic together inside a very thin mesh type contraption to keep the glass tiles in place, because a lot of them, some of the domes are going to be tinted, some of the domes are going to be clear. And you know what I'm saying, if you directly exposing your city out to the sun, it's going to have some kind of tint ability to where it can darken, because that sun is pretty bright, and stuff like that. So we make the artificial intelligence out of cell phones, cell phone computers, old PCs. We can still use that stuff, and whatever we can't, we recycle and still put whatever we can into our own research development. We have the advantage on getting all natural foods. We want to try to get rid of as many GMOs as possible in Africa. We want to go with naturally grown all natural, even if it's not totally organic, all natural is the way to go because they've been growing GMOs and it's lacking the proper nutrients, vitamins and nutrients and enzymes that it need in the healthy bacteria, and it causes cancer. And we have the advantage in technology such as STEM technology, and that's our bionutrients. Our bionutrients are very valuable on a science market and on the black market. So I suggest we harness and we make sure all of our loved ones' organs are properly distributed back to the family. I suggest we put it in an account. We come up with some kind of a organ uh, recycling industry so that our organs and bodily fluids and tissue can be harnessed and can be made for profit us, including rebuilding tissue, rebuilding organs so we can live longer. I want to get as much as I can out of this 80 to 120 years, and to do that we have to take care of ourselves first. We need to invest in hemp, not just marijuana in Africa. We need the textiles, we need the nutrients, we need the oil, we need the biofuel. We want to show more favoritism to Asia because Asia has not destroyed one ancient artifact and they have not destroyed anything, and that's usually propaganda they use to try to get other people to try to exploit us, but it's not going to work any longer. And thanks a lot. And we're going to be participating in a lot of cultural events. We're getting a lot of things done culturally, not militarily, not sadistically. We are in the age of enlightenment. We're in the age of discovery. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I am sorry doing that on television. That's embarrassing. Sorry about that. Excuse me. And we're going to be showing more love culturally. We're going to expect our women to pick up the pace. For our women, don't be scared to love us because we're not the bad guy. We're trying to help everyone out. We need this money. We need this support. We'll date you too. We'll treat you nice, but support us. Don't try to take advantage of us. Don't let the other people turn you against us. We have more to offer than problems. Okay? And if you don't like me, you're free to date who you want. Just don't lead me on. You just cooperate, and we'll just see what goes with that and see. And I think that we can get a lot of things done worldwide, and the relations between black and whites in America and whites and the rest of the minorities in America and the global capitalists and the rest of the people that's trying to ruin this world. We need to be more resilient and on exploitation. We need to take care of our planet, and there's a big tourism market for going to the moon. I want to fly around the moon in a space plane. We can do that. The moon is only about 250,000 miles away. We need a space station midway, but for now we have the technology to do space planes. The space plane can take off from Earth, take a day to get to the moon, stay a day. Now they can either, whether they're going to let us spacewalk, tether, or actually touch down, they don't know yet. But right now, flying around is great. We can take off from Earth one day, stop at the moon, stay one day, fly back the next day. So I say 3-day trips to the moon would be great. Everybody will take pictures. You can take pictures from inside the space plane. The space plane should be pretty nice. We shouldn't be no more than 3 or 4 days max. And we should be able to make this happen. We need to use more hydrogen technology. Hydrogen is the most abundant resource in the universe. We can just find that just about anywhere. But all the rest of the rocket technology, we need to be ready to transition out of rocket fuel, and that can be easily transitioned to hydrogen. So we expect leadership on that. The coastal erosion can be fixed by all concrete and wood debris that is not toxic. We need to start early on rising seawater, and we need to start dumping boulders, bricks, anything that's concrete like or hard, no rubber, no plastic. We need to put that in. We need the Great Barrier Reef in Australia is destroyed because the ocean has been contaminated. 90% of the Great Barrier Reef in Australia is destroyed, and I can contribute that almost directly to the nuclear spill. We need to clean that up. We need to do a lot of things. Artificial intelligence for Africa, using recycled cell phone and computers, all natural foods, bioindustry, hydrogen, uh, solar energy, artificial intelligence for regional different things, and a lot of things like that. So I'll get with you as things go on. And shouts out to Dr. Mackey putting out the electromagnetic classes for the STEM. That's a great idea. Hopefully we can put a platform like this on the cloud and develop and figure out electromagnetic propulsion on our own platform very soon, because they're going to be different versions of it anyway. If we figure it out, somebody's going to add to it and say, okay, well, we have electromagnetic plus ion propulsion. Hey, we figure out that, and that's how it go, and that's how it's supposed to go, because we want to lead the world leaders in a direction, because if we don't distract them with better ideas, they're going to use ideas to start wars and fight and destroy the planet. So if they don't catch on, we got to show that we're capable of being better and more responsible than they are. And hopefully, since they're on that guilt trip can help them be a better person and better leaders and help us save the planet instead of tearing it up. We have great vision and great opportunity for space exploration. President Trump has just given NASA funding to explore Mars, but I have a feeling we've already explored Mars and they're just not telling. So I hope they don't act like bitches and bring racism and bigotry to Mars, because we don't need that shit. There's a model at Antarctica of research and development. The entire planet of Mars should be devoted to research, development, and recreation, because our governments are going to fight over it. And that's why we need to lead the example. And that's why these film festivals that I'm putting together are for activists, visionaries, and people of inspiration to have a platform to express those views, because the people that do not have the best interest in this planet tend to own everything and steal our ideas and steal our draft. Those days are over.